as needed, but like we are supposed to, having these 2 full-time people, this is something we're supposed to have done? Or did I miss?
No, this is what these 2 full-time people will be doing in the city. If it says as needed, that's just saying, okay, we're gonna do a meter audit, but if we need to do another one for some reason, that's as needed. We're gonna get another one done.
Okay, so when I'm saying, again, I'm not in public works, my thought of the meter audit was like, we do it for one area or section at a time, and it's not something you do regularly, like once a month. It's something you do once and then you,
It's something that we do once and should be done.
okay,
Okay, yeah.
so, but that is not in here, so remember we talked about some of the, part of what we're talking about is having the 2 full-time people, the project manager and the operator. There's some expectations that we had in reference to things that we're going to get done, like takeaways. We wanted to be able to tell the citizens, okay, at the end of this, year or 2, or end of the year, we'll have a meter audit done. So we'll say, okay, we have 1,150 meters, we did 500 of them, and out of that 500, 100 was bad, and we need to look at how we're gonna upgrade, which allows us to talk about bonds and some of the things when we talk about smart meters, but we have to plan for that, and so.
You're talking about having benchmarks?
Yeah,
for 2 people?
we said that, so in here you have tasks, but we talked about some of the specific things that we were going to be able to get, overall, so we can feel, because again, I don't know what all this is, and then, so we have like now compliance is gonna be under USW to TCEQ. I know last time it was whether it's gonna be USW or the city, and so, when you break down the $23,280, base fee, and then, can you give us some additional information? I know I had questions in reference to that.
Can I address that from a financial standpoint? And I can show you here, if you look at the USW personnel, you see 279,400. Okay, on the first page. All right, that's that 23,000 a month. Okay. Now, what goes away is if you come down, look at. Look at the USW group, contract group, that $42,000, that goes away. You don't have that anymore, okay? And then,
The vehicle maintenance, or the vehicle.
yeah, I'm getting there right.
But
But you know more than I do. Yeah, okay. Vehicle maintenance on the second page, 103,020, that
Or
goes,
vehicles and equipment.
that goes away.
How does that go away?
Well, because it's included in the 23,000.
Right, but this is what I'm asking for
Go
the
ahead.
breakdown. What we're saying is we're going to pay for USW's vehicle, and at the end of a year, 2 years, 5 years, it is their vehicle versus it being the city's vehicle. How does that doesn't help us, and so on the second page, you have us getting, on the last page, you have us getting a 2 used pickup trucks.
Yeah, right.
Are those city vehicles?
Right.
And then gas doesn't go away because we still gonna have to fill them up, right? And
Right.
so it just seems like numbers is moving, and so give us some clarity, maybe it
Well,
was a
the
mistake or something.
clarity that, let's look at what's not in this revised proposal that was in the original one.
Okay.
The next item is the fee for vehicles. They had $103,000. That's no longer in there.
On their report, on their thing.
In the revised, that 103 is going, it's in that, it's all included
In the 20.
in the 23.
Right, but what we're saying, I understand,
Okay.
but one of the things that we were saying is that at the end of 5 years, the city needs to be in a different direction.
Right.
And this doesn't do that. All this does is allow us to pay for their depreciable assets, and we don't own the asset that they will be using, which is part of we're saying, how does can city employees use those trucks? Because we're gonna be paying for the gas, we're paying for the insurance, we're paying for all this, but we don't get access to the trucks. And so tell us, why would we do that? Or why would we pay for 2?
Yeah, those vehicles are used to perform a city task.
Right.
Right.
Okay, they're assigned to the city. I understand what you're saying as far as, you know, they don't belong to the city, it's not gas that the city's paying for. No, that's all rolled into that $23,000, that monthly fee, because we're paying the gas, we're paying for the overhead on the vehicles, we're paying the lease amount on the vehicles. The lease vehicles, we don't pay them outright, but you guys buy your vehicles outright.
I agree, but
Wait, yeah, so you said y'all paying for the gas and the overhead, but it's put into our budget for the city.
correct.
So who's paying for the
Right,
gas and
but
overhead?
look at the
city
total
or
now.
USW?
The other amount that's included in there is the overhead, 138,100.
Where is it?
The very last, if you look at the USW proposed column for overhead and fees, that was 138,100. That's included in there. So if you look at those totals,
Yeah.
they're more than what that 23 fee is.
So look at this.
I get what we saying too. We saying like, hey, we still gotta pay for this. And, Mr. JJ is saying, yeah, we have to pay for it, but not at the subsequent amount in which
Right.
we would be.
That's exactly what I'm
for
saying.
If we didn't agree to go with it.
Yes and no, but, so if we went to our, so we got the proposed budget. If you went to the next column of what we currently use, if there's numbers there. And so we're paying for it one way or the other. It's rolled in, so the question is,
Well, one
Let me
thing-
explain it a little easier. Okay, so it's just like if you call Comcast out to your house, okay? They come out, they troubleshoot whatever the problem is with your internet, okay? They sit there and write you an invoice. They're a subcontractor for you. You, the homeowner. We're a subcontractor for the city. So therefore, we do the same thing. We go out, we do the work, we use our vehicle, so we charge you for our vehicle, we charge you for our gas. We're a contractor to the city. So that's.
yeah, and we're saying that it doesn't have to be that way. We're saying that when you come into the city, we have a city truck here that you can use, and anytime you're in the city, use our truck. That reduces our cost by 25%. So I'm saying that we save the city 25% by doing that, and we don't, so I'm saying, why I asked to have the breakdown
Right.
is because we're paying additional 20 to 25% addition just to use your truck and your gas, when we could say, hey, when you come into the city, you park your whatever, however you got here, and you drive around in our car, our vehicle, and that saves us money.
And I completely understand, but there's a liability that comes in with insurance. If one of our employees were in an accident in a city vehicle, that's gonna be a nightmare. So it's a liability issue as far as insurance is concerned.
So prior to all the last 3 years, we've been charged for your vehicles, your gas and everything, in our past expenses.
As a subcontractor, that's correct. The first contract that we rolled out, the first contract that we rolled out was to hire the city personnel and have roll all these fees as far as insurance, vehicles, and so forth. But at that point, I don't know, you know, I guess it may have been out of the city's budget, but we didn't move forward on that. But we did try to propose that in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So now we had to go a different direction.
So what other directions do you have in some of the other cities that you work,
This is exactly how we operate in the city of Prairie View, I mean, in the city of Meadows Place.
in the other cities? So they pay the overhead for everything you're saying?
That is correct. City of Breckenridge,
Uh-huh. Because we're not talking about one vehicle, we're talking about two. And so that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense to us, for us to pay for two vehicles.
May I
And-
ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you saying, is he saying that he wants the city to buy them 2 golf carts?
No, those would be the first part of the conversation we have with the golf carts and the trucks are for city vehicles. We're talking about in the monthly fee, they have a monthly fee wrapped in with the 2 full-time employees that we're going to take on. In there, though, they're saying trucks, gas, cell phone, and everything is included, and I want to see a breakdown, because I'm saying that the city of Prairie View could save additional money by looking at what the breakdown is, because there's no point for us to pay for 2 vehicles. Now, one, yes, they can use that one vehicle, but we shouldn't, there's ways for us to either meet in the middle or reduce costs by us having.
But
that
is he
vehicle.
saying these additional employees are, because I don't have access to the numbers that you all are looking at, so it's not making sense to me. But the two employees are gonna be employees of USW?
Yes, and they'll be contractors for the city of Prairie View, but they're gonna be the ones who are certified, licensed, and be the main point of contact. If a developer or anyone comes into Prairie View about public works, they're gonna be the point contact, which is why we'll have a project manager, which is someone who's gonna handle the day-to-day paperwork, and then we'll have an operator, someone who has the licenses. Currently,
For them?
No, licenses for the city of
No, I
Prairie View.
mean,
Yes,
those,
but they will be employees of USW. Right now,
We don't have it.
we don't currently, there was another employee hired
That doesn't have.
that doesn't have the license. So we now have 5 do we call them field workers or outside workers or what? Technicians, excuse me. We have 5 technicians, and the only one who had, Mr. Silver has the backhoe license, but to actually do the taps and the lines, they have to work under someone's license. We're now bringing USW, is gonna be our main project manager, and another person is gonna be our main person to be another technician. But remember, in our budget, we have put in that we said we're gonna bring in an in-house person. That currently is not going to work. One, we just need the license, and so we're trying to figure out how do we move forward with USW, but also maintain our own public works.
Could we do one car?
The project manager, would definitely need a vehicle. You know, he's the project manager, so he's gonna be dealing with developments. He's gonna be going to meetings constantly. He's gonna be overseeing mainline repairs, any new project. I mean, so technically, they both need vehicles.
Like, but we
Because if
can't-
you have someone in their own personal vehicle, that's a liability.
Yeah, so I guess I'm unclear. The project manager's gonna wanna do one thing, the utility person who is a licensed gonna do something different. They both don't need, so we're saying that even if they have to use one of the city's trucks, someone has to be, that means that we can't do what we need, that means we need to come up with a different plan. Cause right now,
Ask him what's the different plan.
I
That's
don't-
what- That's what he
I
said.
don't know, I asked
No, I'm saying, he asked.
I asked
I can-
for a breakdown.
Yeah, I
In the
just,
breakdown, if we had a breakdown, it would show us, this is the other thing.
But Brian, he's saying that basically that they need 2 vehicles, like regardless of not what we.
Yeah, but we're, in here, we have to buy 2 vehicles.
Yes, but you keep saying that, you just stated that a city, that one of their workers could just drive the city vehicle. He's telling you that's not possible. They need their own vehicle. USW needs their own vehicle due to the fact that they do 2 separate jobs.
So I agree. What I'm saying though, this is the opportunity to have that conversation, because again, whether the project manager takes the vehicle home or or however they move around, the ability for them to do, to what they're gonna do on a daily, we shouldn't have to pay for USW to have 2 trucks when they're in the city of Prairie View. And so this is part of what we're saying, if we had a breakdown of how much, if we had a breakdown, in your breakdown, in the breakdown, talks about the vehicles, talks about the insurance, talks about everything we pay, because we're paying retirement, we're paying all the stuff for an employee, except for we're gonna do it to USW. And we wanna, so in that breakdown, that allows us to be able to see, like, things that we would say, well, why would we paying that amount? And just to say that we can afford to pay it is not, because right now, the numbers that JJ says, no, not him. JJ's saying, well, JJ says that the 23,280, we can afford to pay it. We can. The question is, just because we can afford to pay it,
is that the best?
should we is that the best thing for the city?
so let me add to that. Y'all are looking at the 23,000 just being the employee and the vehicle. But that's also rolling in, you gotta factor in overtime.
Yes.
What percent of overtime are we currently utilizing in the city of Prairie View?
Right.
The weekend checks, this is a 7-day-a-week check for the city of Prairie View. So right now, when we come out here on the weekends,
Mhm.
we're billing you for that time.
Yeah.
This is all rolled into this monthly amount.
Right, I get it, but I'm saying if I had to break down, I could see that. The second thing is,
Okay.
if you're a full-time employee for the city, or a contractor, because we want to separate it, we can't say I want to separate here, but I don't want to separate. If the city enters in this contract, you're a USW, but you work on the behalf of the city.
Right.
On the overtime, so is this 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours? I thought that the meter reading will still be done by our current employees, so I'm trying to figure out why would these 2 additional people be working that much overtime? So that's why I'm trying to flush it out. Right now, on here, we knows how much the employees make. There's a section set aside for how much overtime is. And I'm saying, just like I have outlined, it says right here, overtime on your page 5. Overtime rate of the time of 1.5 will apply for work performed after 8 and 5.
Yeah, for additional services, okay? But your weekend plant checks, where we have to come out here on Saturday and Sunday and on the holidays, that's all included into this price. Now, let's say we get a phone call, like last night, we got a phone call from Mr. Perry. Contractor was boring up underneath Old Houston and tore up his house line, okay? He has my personal cell phone number, which I don't mind. He should have gone through the office and been filtered to the on-call phone. He calls me and says, hey, I don't have any water, but it looks like somebody was born on this road, can you investigate? So I sent out a tech, he came out and investigated and found that the company drilling, what was the name of them, Ms. Durham? Core Drilling, or whatever the company's name was, I have to look at my emails, tore up his house line. So we came out, he has to have water, we came out, fixed it, it was PVC, and then this morning, I sent the company an email, and basically stated to them that, this is gonna be back charged to you all, because you all damaged a customer's house line. And he already replied and said that we're gonna investigate it and get back to you. So these are the type of services that are called additional services. When we have to come out, not because we're out here already working,
Right.
but because we have to come out due to someone calling us.
Alright, cool. So, for safe time and because Ms. Bonham has to get on the road to drive Fort Worth, could we get that breakdown next meeting before, approving and discussing,
Before next meeting,
before next meeting or during next meeting, so that way his questions could be rectified.
okay.
And then, as well as, the 90-day written notice, to get out the contract, that's general, right?
That's correct.
Alright, and then, can we look at doing, a period of 3 years and then come back for discussion rather than just a 5 to 5?
Absolutely. Let me change that. No
May I
problem.
ask a question? Because what he said wasn't clear. If he's billing the person who damaged the homeowner's pipe, then the city's not paying for that.
There's 2 processes in back charging, okay? Number one, when we come out to do, because we're a contractor, so when we go out to do a service, we have to be paid for that service, okay? But it wasn't it's not our fault or the city's fault that service had to be provided.
Right,
So we then seek out whose fault it is,
right,
in which it's this drilling company.
right.
So then we provide the information to the city, what has happened, photos, there's also photos, I can forward the email to you all. Ms. Durham received it. Photos, and then we go after the company to get those monies back for the city.
Right.
And-
So why would you, what I'm saying, that's not an
We gotta pay them
expense to the city,
But we gotta-
because
Yeah,
the other
it's-
person is.
Right, it's a wash.
Yeah, but he
Right.
was saying that we gotta pay them from the start, like, so they have to go out and do their tasks, once we get the money back, then the city will be reimbursed, but
Right.
somebody has to get paid to go out and do it.
Yeah, especially if it's an emergency.
Um,
The last thing in reference to, the water taps, the fees for you to do a water tap, are you gonna help us to, we don't currently charge these,
That's correct.
and we need to look at making sure that our fees are, we may not need to increase it to the same thing, but we need to look at it because we don't want you to have to do a water tap, or in addition to, so I guess, what is this? Because,
Okay, so the reason why that's in there, okay, we know the city performs their own taps,
Yeah.
okay? And we will oversee the city performing their taps at no cost, that's in the base,
Right.
okay? What that's in there for, let's say Silver's on vacation, okay, we have to get a tap done. The city's still gonna capture their revenue, okay, that's a tap fee, and what needs to happen is, currently in the ordinance, for the city's tap fees, it's $100 for a 5/8 tap. That has to be amended. People are tapping 5/8 meters now, I believe it's a minimum of $1,300 to $1,500, depending on how many feet of poly tubing. And then 1-inch meters are like 24, 2-inch, and it just keeps going up.
Good, so-
Commercial, actually,
But this
anything,
contract, you will help us provide us that
Yes,
information, that's
yes.
what we need to do. I'll move that we adjourn, the workshop.
Y'all got any other questions?
We sent to you.
So basically, y'all need the breakdown of the 23.
Yep.
Okay.
Breakdown of that, 3 to 5.
Motion for the meeting to be adjourned has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any unreadiness?
No, sir.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Boston.